And welcome here to Amy Park for this much anticipated SRL clash. The Melbourne Storm playing host here to the Gold Coast Titans. Ollie Parcher, Jordan Lewis with you, and Jordan. The Melbourne Storm, defending premiers, looking to keep their title run, perhaps going back to back here, but it's going to be a tough test, I reckon, with the Gold Coast. They've had a tough run of it, but could be a great chance to cause an upset as well.
That's absolutely right, Ollie. This Melbourne Storm outfit, they are one of the generational greats. And of course, they'd be hurting after that narrow loss to the Tigers. Now, it is a cold night here today in Melbourne. Dry conditions, though, so we should see some good footy action.
Yep, of course, it had the bye round 2, but did put up a decent win over the North Queensland Cowboys in round 1. Titans coming in here with a bit of a decent form, having beaten the Raiders away and on back-to-back road trips, or perhaps plane trips. They'll be looking to cause another stir here. McLucky to get us underway. He kicks down to Terra Maxwell, who will take the first run until Ran Wilmot hand takes the handoff, and it's then hit hard there by Buckley. And already some tempers flaring early on as Oldfield breaks through one tackle there of Russell before he's eventually brought to ground just inside the 40. Spencer to acting half. Fawn will swing it across here for Wilmot again. Try and set the tempo early on. Trying to push his way through the center of the park. TBK an inside ball there for Will Kay, who fends off Vane Colostrum for his brought down and already into Titans territory. Fawn will look to Bakers. And then another inside ball here for Maxwell, who bursts through, tries to take on Liam Ryan. Will set them up with potential kicking opportunity. Who do they look for? They've got TBK and Bakers kicking options, so look to TBK first, then Bakers. He puts one high in the air. Looks like it'll be Spencer underneath it, but he took it while on the ground, and that meant everyone could swarm to him. An easy handover there in this first set for the Gold Coast. Now they look to set the tempo once more, with Christian McKay taking their first run. Lucky will now look for Taupoke. He's met heavier tackle there by Remy as they fight for position, eventually brought to ground, though. Then Colostrum is forced back in that tackle. With the assistance of Bakers. Some good hits being laid here early on. Jack Jimmy helping. There goes Butterfield. Another half playing a lock forward, but there's a ball thrown too risky there. And Mason Remy ends up coming up with it. Huge opportunity now for Melbourne to take advantage. Bakers will pass in for Wivet. Wivet ends up being tackled there just shy of, well, just inside the Titans 30. I thought they were looking for that one-pointer early on there with Bakers the way he was positioned, but no, he just decides to take a run on himself instead. James Fawn will go to acting half. He goes Wilmot right through a gap here. Tries to get inside of Ryan. Lost the ball, but it was drilled knocked forward by Gold Coast, and Melbourne's gone over with TBK.
Oh, you just love to see a play like that. Now, that is the absolute quintessential attacking play that we have come to expect from this Storm side. Now, just the Gold Coast Titans, they'll be unlucky to drop the lollies there, but again, you cannot class this Melbourne Storm outfit just worse than that.
Yeah, it was perhaps a bit of a lucky chance there for Melbourne, but sometimes it's just better to be lucky than good, as TBK will convert his own try here for, I believe that is his first goal kick of this season. Sorry, well, not certain if the graphics there were up to date with the statistics of him, but either way, Melbourne will take the 6-0 lead solely off of the back of TBK scoring. I think they did have Bakers kicking. He went 2 of 3 last time out, and essentially that 2-point difference was the reason that they lost. So perhaps there's just been some thought process of letting him take the reins instead. Of course, he was 5 for 5 last time out, so I'm not certain whether there was some error in judgment, perhaps with a list submission or just testing out other options. Either way, TBK back into that goal-kicking role for Melbourne, as here goes Remy now, as some strong defense early here from the Gold Coast, just keeping them reined in here as Bakers tries to get through Vane Colostrum, but won't get too far out. They're just looking for Kay, who's hit heavily, and a flat ball there for Remy, but he sheds off Vane Colostrum, now tries to take on Ryan. Ends up being brought down there with a little bit of assistance, but it does put the fullback out of position. As oh dear, there's a miscommunication there. as they look to try and find a kicking option, but it seemed like they just didn't know who it was going to be, and they end up coughing it up.
It's uncharacteristic from Melbourne there, but you can expect that the Gold Coast will want to capitalise on this straight away.
Yep, they've got early territory, and they'll look to quickly take advantage. Vane Colostrum there receives the offload from Butterfield. Ill-advised, perhaps. End up losing a bit of ground off of that pass, but it does allow him to set up a left-side attack with Taupoke. He's brought down there, and a hefty tackle from Wivet. Glucky nearly fumbled it there with Buckley, but just end up manufacturing a run of some kind. As here's McClucky. He puts a kick in. Wilmet, though. Great reflexes, and in fact, they are ruling knock on here. Not certain if I thought it had got the kick away, but it does grant Melbourne an extra tackle. See if they can take that advantage with them, as Maxwell will break through with a line here, getting past Lee. Now looking to get past Ryan, but won't get too far past him with the help of the captain, Alboke. Here's Bonsacahu looking for Guys, but Guys is met heftily by his opposite in McKay. Bit of a short side right. No, they look infield, and now back in for Maxwell. A little in-out-in play there. Nearly was able to set him free, but it does push Ryan up in the offense once more. Jimmy voted lit hard by Van Colostrum. Coughs it up. Lee gets ankle tapped there by Maxwell.
Perfect defence there. Perfect defence. This is exactly what you want to see. This is great football so far.
As Van Colostrum now will look to try and set the tempo again. Mainstay of his Titans has, believe, played every game for them, so long as he hasn't been injured or suspended. Now Taupoke inside the 30 will allow them to set up a red zone opportunity here with Butterfield, who will try and drag Maxwell over the line. They'll likely go upstairs for this, and they will. Have to see whether he got that ball down. The initial ruling says yes. We're not going to get a view from that angle. Maybe they should give us a clear view here. Yeah, it does look like he gets the point of that ball down. They should go up 6-4. Green light there for Josh Butterfield, and a huge try for them in this game. It looked like they were just getting against the run of play, but they capitalize on the mistakes. And Gold Coast end up coming away with points.
Josh Butterfield, what else can you say? The man has really taken to this position quite well. Great line break from him, honestly. This is something that a lot of the people in the mines should be looking at. You want to take your opportunities just as the Titans have today.
Yep, and of course, a lot of players that have come up through that system. Of course, Leo St. Hendricks, formerly Dom Young, has been a part of the mines and now is mentoring. And of course, on the other side of it, bench player, Mines Commissioner for a time now, Hopsgood, who I believe has resigned from the role recently. We do wish him well, of course. Justin Dolan will field this kick, his first involvement in this game. Buckley will bring it up about 15 out from his own line before it's brought to ground. It's quickly to Van Colostrum. They get the props involved early on, as they know not going to get too long of a stint here, but they should be able to make something happen as Taupoke is forced back of a tackle by Jack Jimmy. Good early work being done here by the Gold Coast as Ryan tries to take a little jink, but is not going to get by Remy. With how big that body is, as they look to perhaps put it a 40-20 attempt here with McLucky. They've got a lot of space available. It's got the distance, they have the angle, not quite. Maxwell will be able to scoop that one up as he tries to put a step on as well, but is quickly met there by, I believe, the aforementioned St. Hendricks. He goes forward now as he takes a run. Usually the acting half won't take many, but he ends up drawing a penalty out of it, as well as Van Colostrum on there far too long. And a cheap one given away there by the Gold Coast after they got some great territory out of that kick.
Absolutely cheap. I'll tell you, the coach will be tearing his hair out at that. You had great defence, you had them locked down, and that's just given them an easy out.
Giving them now an opportunity to attack in the centre of the park here with Will Kay as he goes right up to the 40. Well, he's eventually brought down. Wilmette will look to Guys, but Guys is really forced back there of a tackle by the big long head, don't care tackles of Buckley and McKay. He goes Oldfield now on the left side, trying to get through there, but brought down by Russell. TBK, late ball there for Guys, and his force back yet again. He's really not been able to generate much here, Logan, guys. solid defense work so far, as Jimmy now will take a run down the center. It's just outside the 30. I don't think this will allow them any sort of attacking kick option. Let's see what TBK tries. Yeah, he's just going to go for the crossfield kick. It has allowed a decent kick chase there with Demando who ended up receiving it, and I think it was looking to be a mark there from Whiffer, but he just couldn't get across in time. And now the Gold Coast will have their opportunity to try and perhaps get some territory. It does look like they'll get past that 40 at least, so we shouldn't see the same play they run, and especially with that Liam Ryan break as he takes on to Tara Maxwell and gets a decent chunk of meters out of it. Ends up needing some help from TBK as well. But it's pushed Maxwell into first marker. That might open up the alleyways, but not quite this time. McClucky is brought down there by Bakers and Jimmy. They swing across now for Russell. Russell makes the guys miss terribly. Eventually brought down there. And now a chance on the last to perhaps put in a short kick. It's going to be Dolan. Dolan, oh, it's a little chipper, but Oldfield just takes a moment. Sizes his man up, beats him cleanly, but Liam Ryan comes back in. Makes sure to bring him down about a quarter of the way up the park here. As now, guys, he finally gets a chance to flex his legs and nearly gets through the tackle of McKay, being brought down just shy of a 40. Now it's to Will Kay. He looks to try and force his way through, but Venkalostrom is just too strong there. It's going to be tackled shy of halfway. Now I'll swing it right for Maxwell, and now Kelly. Kelly trying to inject himself into the game. He's brought down there by McLucky. Now with it all, this is a risky attack here with Bakers. It does also mean, who do they look to for a kicking option? It looks like they're going to bring, believe it'll be Kay coming across. He'll put the kick in, and it's a sharp one with the left foot. It ends up being Ryan who takes a run on, and he might be going here. Ryan now with two men pursued, makes one miss, makes another miss. Eventually brought down there by Fawn, but man, Liam was almost gone for all money. It ends up being McLucky now who sends it off to Buckley. They look to reorganize that left edge. Is that where they look to go? No, instead they look to the right side with Butterfield, trying to get him involved again. He's just going to be forced back of that tackle there by Guys and TBK. Winkel-Ostrom. Oh, he's such a hefty man to try and tackle, but Kay does eventually bring him down. Now options in the center of the park here. Here goes Butterfield, trying to line himself up and makes a run at Kay, and a coach killer there. They might take the 2 off of this one, and they will. A held in tackle penalty there results. A very likely penalty goal. I mean, you wouldn't expect McClucky to miss this.
You wouldn't think so, directly in front. But at the same time, I'm very confused as to why they would take the 2. They had Melbourne on the back foot there. Do you think take the short kick and go for the 4-pointer?
You would think, but perhaps it's also just a case of wanting to give them an opportunity for clean substitutions. Didn't want to have them come off at an inopportune time. Knowing that Winkel-Ostrom and Buckley were potentially tiring, it gives them a chance to spring Jason Farrer and Terry Oates on just a new set. Allows them to find their legs early on, receive instruction. There's definitely some good reasoning behind trying to just take the points there as well, because, I mean, anytime that you could just take a slight advantage off a possession, especially given the field position that they had, might as well take it, as it will be Jason Farrer here to take the first hit up. He takes a hefty run here at Matthew Turner. He's eventually brought down, but they do get past the 20, so perhaps those fresh legs already doing work for them. Here goes McKay. He takes another run here at Hopsgood. And goes forward some good running meters early on here as there goes Butterfield. Butterfield trying to get by Maxwell. Maxwell does have the speed to chase him down. Does eventually get in front of him and meet him shoulder to shoulder. But it's going to be a difficult time for the Storm to try and scramble themselves back into defense. Here goes Oates trying to really force his way through. Tackled about 14 short of a line, right in front of the sticks. Here goes Taupoka. He meets hard with Jimmy. Gets great leg drive. It didn't seem like Bakers could get the arms around him. Here goes Lee. McLucky with a high ball. Who's underneath it? They're looking for a bat back here. Ford gets up at the back of it, but great coverage defense there. It was good work there by Butterfield, I believe, to make sure that he doesn't end up gone again. We see those back plays work, and sometimes work to perfection. Sometimes they completely backfire that time. They just pretty perfectly neutralized after Fawn ended up stealing it away.
I think so, but at the same time, Melbourne have been struggling to get out of their own 30 for most of this game. The Titans' defense, they're just killing them up the middle here.
Yeah, there just hasn't been much generated here, as perhaps as well. That's why they wanted Farah and Oates into the game. They feel like they have the advantage over Good and Turner, and it seemed like we did on that last tackle as well. Here goes Bakers. He's not going to be looking for a 20-40 here, as that's right down Main Street. Here goes Ryan now as he looks to spring himself free of Maxwell. It's a foot race now, and it's going to be brought down again. Maxwell's been good in coverage, but it's pretty much the reason why they're only down 2 instead of down 20 at this point. Here goes Farah now. He tries to push himself through the line, but not going to get very far against 2 Storm defenders. Here's Taupoke again, and Taupoke is brought to ground. Great tackling again from the Storm in these situations. Farah, he nearly lost it there. I think he's just ended up having to pick it back up himself. No knock on there as a result because it didn't touch anything else. Here's Dolan now. Dolan ends up taking it just inside the 10. We'll go to McLucky. McLucky looking for another bomb. It looks like they're positioned in the field of play here with Oldfield, and he is. He gets away from 1, gets away from 2. He tries to get away from a 3rd, but that time it's a good, strong tackle from Dolan, and that makes sure that he doesn't end up going the entire distance as Turner there forced back heftily in a tackle again. Seeing the Titans forward have a great impact. Though, oh dear, Lee was just square, and Lee is gone. Lee ends up scoring off an intercept try. I don't know how he wasn't square there, but they try and do a scramble with Thorne. Thorne throws an inadvisable pass, and Mark Lee just ends up snaking his way right around everyone.
Oh, mate, that's just one of those 50-50 calls there. I agree with you. There was a... I'm struggling to find any reason as to why he wasn't square there, but it is as it is. The ref calls it as he sees it, and Gold Coast, they take 6 points advantage.
Yeah, I mean, if we get a chance to look at a replay, perhaps we can get an idea of whether it was Lee that was square and perhaps second marker was just off his line, but perhaps I just say didn't affect the play. Fawn tried to scramble, first marker got across. Either way, he called it as he sees it, and right now that is a huge momentum swing for Gold Coast. They now go up 14 points to 6, as well as the McLucky conversion. TBK now to swing it, get back into the swing of things, because again, we've just seen they haven't been able to generate much in terms of meterage, especially out of their own half. Just try and dig in and get a set complete, perhaps, is going to be the next instruction from Will Kay to this team, but wait and see what happens here. They do have to defend to start as Farah is forced back in that tackle by Cage. Perhaps trying to lead by example. It says, we can get on top of these guys. Taupoke will now try and force his way through, but his forced back as well there by Jimmy with the help of Bakers. Now McLucky for Oates. Oates brought down there by Fawn, and now we're getting to see the Storm defense really start to show some spirit. They're not getting anything right now, these Titans forwards, as Taupoke is even tackled inside the 30. They look to for the kicking option. It's McLucky. McLucky, oh, he hit it too low, and Good ends up with a charge down. And now it sets up the Storm with a great healthy set. Here's Bakers across for Maxwell. Maxwell trying to get past, but nothing doing on that side of the Titans line. Here's Bakers now way across there for Spencer. His forced back by McKay. The bigger body ends up winning that challenge. Fawn for TBK. Now for Maxwell again. He's fought himself all the way across the field after his run of the second to have another go on the fourth, but is getting nowhere with that. TBK just swings it out here for Will Kay. Will Kay met by Ryan, so Ryan's up in the line. It does mean they don't quite have the same defense behind. Does TBK elect to put the kick in behind? He does, but it's well swept up by Demando, Bakers, Jimmy, Turner, everyone trying to get involved and make sure he doesn't get loose. Oates now up the middle. He's going to be brought down here by Fawn. A little bit of help from Kay. Quick pass there for Butterfield. Butterfield fends off one. Eventually brought to ground, though. Quick surge for the Titans, just allowing them to get a bit further forward. Perhaps it'll open up an option here on tackle 4. Do they look for another kick? They're not positioned for it, it seems. That's not what they like to do. They just elect for a Farah run, then a Butterfield offload. It's about a meter. And does mean that they still have Dolan and McLucky available for the last tackle. They'll look to Dolan this time around. He'll put in a very high kick, but it comes down quickly for Oldfield. Oldfield with a step to get past his first man, but tackled shy of a 40. Still has a decent field position start here for Gold Coast because of just the ball never really felt like it had that much travel to it, and it didn't allow them much room to get in a decent kick chase either. Maxwell there with a step. Maxwell through the line now. He's going to try and best Ryan. He's met one-on-one and brought to ground on tackle 3. Still an excellent opportunity though. 7.5 minutes remaining in this half to at least bring it within 1 score, no matter how you do it. Well, I suppose the 1-pointer wouldn't really be the way to do it, but I doubt they'll elect for that at this point. Turner brought down here on the last. It's Ryan first marker again. It looks to TBK. TBK will put up the bomb. It's towards the wing of St. Hendricks and Demando, and St. Hendricks ends up getting a little bit of clearance as well, but ends up being brought down there by Jack Jimmy. Not much being sprung out of that release following the kick chase, but either way, still some decent momentum being worked on here. Here goes Ryan. Ryan beats TBK, leaves him on the floor, and now had to challenge Maxwell. Oldfield looked to help in defense, but Maxwell just basically just shrugged him off and said, I got this, beats him one-on-one. Now McKay brought down there, and a hefty tackle by Good, but again, the Titans seem to be rolling on following that line break. Here goes Russell now. Russell with a step. Maxwell having to come all the way across to make the tackle. Got a little bit of help there from Good as well. Now they'll elect to probably put in a grubber kick. No, Butterfield will elect to kick instead, and Butterfield much prefers a high ball, but Maxwell's underneath it, and Maxwell nearly gets through again, but he had to cut himself so far in field that it meant Mark Lee could get himself involved, and he makes a tackle. TBK now. Heavily there by Farah and Oates. To get much out of that in spite of some decent legwork. Here goes Spencer now, tries to put a step on, and Dolan just says, no thank you. I'm just going to force you back. Now they'll look again on this left edge with Oldfield, and Oldfield cuts inside. Oldfield just shy of halfway now. A tough hold in the tackle there from Russell. Not called though. Guys now for Good. Good trying to force his way up to the 40, but he's going to be tackled just shy of it. The TBK now. TBK the kick in. It's wobbling, but it's taken well there by Demando. Demando's got a lot of space here, but Maxwell meets him well. Brings him down just shy of a 30. Decent field position, but nothing too strong here for Gold Coast. Ryan on the second will be brought down by the 2 men in the white headgear. That'll be Turner and Jimmy. McLucky leaves one floating for Oates to take a momentum-gaining run, but is not going to get much there. The tackle by Kay and Turner. Here goes Farah now before his brought down there and the tackle by Fawn. They look for another 40-20 attempt. They will with McLucky, but it's low again, and Jimmy ends up sniping that one out of the air. Another forward, knocking down kicks for them. Here goes Bakers now. Bakers get just about to the 25 before Farah has to be called in to help. And we'll likely see some reinforcements as well. Depends on who comes in here. TBK will swing it across here for Spencer. I think they've just timed these substitutions well enough to get Wilmet and Remy back rolling. Here goes TBK. Left edge here with Oldfield. Where are the forwards? They need them now. I think they've just come into shot there. You see Wilmet just coming across to try and get himself involved. And he takes this run. We'll go at Ryan. He ends up being brought down here. The tire legs of Faranotes. Can they take advantage of them? Here goes TBK. TBK the high ball. It's going to be a tough ask for whoever takes it. It's going to be Spencer. Spencer trying to drag himself to the line. I think he should, and he is. About a meter short, perhaps centimeters short, but Christian McKay just barely able to make sure he doesn't cross the line. But now the Gold Coast will be able to get the 3 substitutions here of Vane, Colostrum, and Buckley on. They're not going to have to worry about potential issues with that. And it just seems like I was going to say they could just end up trying to hold on to this, but it seems like Ryan wants to give them just a little bit more momentum here. Here's McLucky now, Alpha Tau Pocket, but I think now they just realize it's not going to be much more. They're going to take it to halftime here with Gold Coast leading Melbourne 14 points to 6. And welcome back to this second half of this SRL clash between the Storm of the Titans, Ollie Parcher, Jordan Lewis with you, and Jordan. It's been a match that has mostly favored the Gold Coast. They've been, you'd think, even defensively on paper, but it just seems like the Titans have been able to rip more meters out of this Storm unit, because we've really seen Liam Ryan and Josh Butterfield almost take them to the cleaners in that regard.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, we were looking at the stat sheet just during the halftime break there while waiting for the fish and chips to come up. And yeah, it was even in terms of missed tackles, but most of the missed tackles seem to be coming from the middle, as we've just seen right there. Yeah,
they got an absolutely lucky break there. That was not something I would have expected to see his corner knock on, but just spilled out in front of him, and as a result, The Gold Coast nearly had Liam Ryan absolutely clear and gone, but instead ends up being a cough up there from the Gold Coast. It was 4 errors to 3 early on, so that just even up the error count as well. Now the Storm with an excellent opportunity to gain something off of attacking set, but with it is brought down here, and it seems like the Gold Coast are just holding firm here. Baker's just take a run himself. It does take him out of an opportunity, though. TBK and Will K available for kicking options if they look for it. TBK will look for the high ball here. Ryan's lining up right underneath it, and he leapt from in goal. So it will be a 20-meter tap and a 7-tackle set. Gold Coast there escaping and pretty much neutralizing whatever happened earlier on with that unforced error.
Unfortunate positioning there for that kick. The Storm, they just put too much weight on it. If it had been just a little bit lighter, that probably would have been tackled in goal.
Yeah, a great opportunity to drag Ryan out as well, although it did seem like he was fighting pretty hard there to make sure he maintained the field of play just in case. As McLucky now for Butterfield. Butterfield fends off a tackle, sends off a wild offload. McLucky throws a dummy, and McLucky is long gone like my ex-girlfriend. She's not coming back. Try time for Michael McLucky.
Oh, that Storm, you can see Will K down there on the field. He's barking orders. He's mad as anything. And again, what we were talking about before, their forwards are getting murdered up the middle. They need to start plugging up that defense if they want any chance of taking this game home.
I've never seen a dummy throw like that. That's just completely fooled everyone. They were scrambling. They were headless almost. And Michael McLucky takes full advantage and goes over for a wondrous try here. And a big opportunity to put himself up 14 with this kick. Of course, the most dangerous lead in rugby league. But I don't think the Gold Coast will be too worried about that, given the momentum that they've created early on in the second half.
Well, thankfully, the scoreline might be 14, but there's no 0 on the Storm's side of things there. So they hopefully should be good to go.
Yeah, I mean, I ended up conceding the first points of the game, I believe, but the Titans just have continued to put up points again and again so far. Now they'll look to put up more on this set as Dolan will look to swing it for Vane Colostrum. He ends up taking a hefty run and requires 3 defenders in order to bring him down. Weston into acting half. Here's come on there to replace Mark Leon. Lachlan Holmes, we saw it in the first set that they had, just springs himself clear yet again. Been very effective coming on here for Max Taupoke. And now Dolan, he'll take a run himself, but he's met heftily by TBK. Weston will go into acting half once more. Just played across there for Buckley to take for 1-up run. Getting some good meters here against Cavo. Now we'll look to Vane Colostrum. He has to come across from Marker to make yet another tackle. He's tackled right on the 30. Might open up some kicking options for them, but McLucky, he put one way too low, and Bakers charges it down, swoops it up for himself, brought down inside the 40, and now Case brings himself loose. The captain's going again, throws one. It nearly ended up in the hands of Goats, but it ends up with Hogan instead. That's the first time we call Corey Goats' name so far. He's been relatively uninvolved, but here goes Wilmot now for an opportunity. He's pounced off there by Ryan, and Vane Colostrum gets across there to make sure he gets involved as too. Making sure there's not that much momentum, but here goes Bakers. Bakers with 2 involved. Won't be able to get that one down though. I'll just double check this to be certain. Yep, definitely unturned.
On his back. That's very unfortunate. He almost got there, but thankfully, the Gold Coast defense, they were able to just quickly turn him over.
Yep, and that's what they've been able to do. So actually, what a lot of SRL players are taught to do when we get that second involved of a tackle. Kane nearly crashes over himself against Weston, and Ford just got met by Vane Colostrum. No regard for human life. Knocks him down and says, "Thank you, I'll have that ball."
I think we call that one the Snicko, but Jesus, that was a good hit.
I'm not giving any sort of credit to him if I can, but here goes Butterfield. Butterfield now is able to stretch his legs. He's trying for the coast-to-coast run, but he throws an inadvisable pass, and now Oldfield back the other way. How do you like that? Melbourne take a 12-point swing from Maverick Oldfield.
that is just absolute class football from Maverick Oldfield. And this is exactly something, again, we said this at the start of the game, you don't want to let the Storm's outbacks do that. They can just spring at you from absolute miles out, and unfortunate pass there led to the Maverick Oldfield try.
Yeah, it's something that we're seeing. I mean, it worked for the McLucky try that we just saw about 3 minutes ago. But that time, Butterfield just throws an absolutely wild ball out to pretty much Swanston Street. It ends up being taken by Oldfield entirely the other way. And it means that it's now 20-12, which could have very much well been 26-6 to leave it. You're pretty much just coast home on. Now the Titans do have to try and play themselves firm here, because they cannot let Melbourne back into this game.
You can see Butters, he's walking back there shaking his head. He knows exactly what he's done here, and he's had an absolute pearler of a game, but hopefully he can just put this one behind him and get back to playing footy.
Yeah, I mean, you get what you give, I suppose, and just giving out offloads like candy, sometimes it doesn't pay off there as Buckley. They say to set the tone, I suppose, and that's exactly what he did with that hit to Wellmet. Here goes Nilsson now. His first involvement is he's brought down by a pair of defenders as well. McCain, a second marker. Looks like Russell goes back, but here goes Maxwell now. Maxwell through the line. He's nearly the halfway. Ryan brings him down. Now they look to get TBK involved. He goes to Nilsson again, but Nilsson's not getting much momentum out of his runs. As again, it's Buckley and McKay working together. TBK swings it across for Will Kane. Now for Maxwell, but Maxwell's met again. It's McKay and Buckley. That's what they've been working on, and it seems to be the way they're going. But now a 40-20 attempt, way too shallow here, and it means that Goats can run onto it. Goats is nearly through a TBK, has to cover his own kick, ends up bringing Goats down, but right inside Storm territory. Here goes Buckley now. He's trying to force his way through Fawn, but nothing there on that occasion. They'll swing it right side with Dolan, and now McKay. McKay needs 3 to bring him down, but eventually does so. Weston down to Winkel-Ostrom, and Buckley through the line. Buckley is going to try and outrace Maxwell. He goes to McLucky instead. McLucky's met there by Jimmy, and Jimmy eventually brings him down 101. Says, just get yourself in position on the line, boys. Here goes Butters now. He's going to try and crash his way over, and he might have just done that. I'll have a look upstairs. I don't think we'll get a good vantage point from this reverse angle, but that looks decent from where we're sitting.
I'm
we'll
happy
swing
to
it around here. That looks good to us.
Yep, absolutely happy to pay that. Going from Judas to Jesus with that one, he's absolutely made up for the botched try just before, and I think he'll be happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, as it goes, you know, there's always a bit of a saying to just, if you make a mistake, make up for it. And Butterfield does exactly that, crashing over there and restoring what should be a 14-point lead here with how close this kick is. And McLucky will make no mistake. Again, we're seeing the up the middle runs working here for Gold Coast. And that time, just a bit of good, decent field position inside Gold Coast territory. All you need.
That's it. All you need, one good break. And again, Melbourne's middle defence. I have a feeling that Will Kay will be talking to his forward pack very shortly after this.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps some reform is in order on who is starting, or perhaps just a reshuffle even. As Ryan will field this kick as he goes to Buckley, or perhaps he'll just know that the Titans pack has been strong so far, and maybe he just decides to shrug his shoulders and say we got out muscled and move on. But Lachlan Holmes and Max Taupoke thus far have proven to be decently impactful, but especially Holmes coming off the bench, inject himself into this game with a lot of speed, and perhaps that's what's given him this opportunity. Here's Ryan now. He's being brought down there by Fawn. A little bit of help as well. Might look for the kick option again here. Here goes McLucky. McLucky again, it's short, and again it's well fielded by Wivet. Been one of the things we've seen as a kind of thematic throughout this game, but the kicks are just being charged down, and whenever you can do that, you're getting a lot of decent territory.
I know there is obviously a cold night here in Melbourne tonight, and with that you'd expect a couple of low kicks to happen, but you would think at this point they would be used to the conditions. They should be kicking a lot higher.
Yeah, perhaps they're just a bit worried about something one too high up and creating an awkward contest and letting someone go clear. Here's Jimmy with an inside ball here for Maxwell. As the Storm have pushed up well on this set and has forced the Titans to their goal line, but they haven't broken through. They're going to need a kick at TBK to do the job. Can he get a kick away here? He does not. And Logan Guys, even if he did, I think would have been forced back by Holmes. Very likely just gave himself up there, though, as the Titans are able to weather the storm. No pun intended. Here goes Weston with an inside ball there for Holmes. He again seems to be getting some decent chunks of meters whenever the ball is in his hand. I'll swing it wide here for Dolan. Dolan tries to take on the line, but is not going to get too far there. He's brought down 15 shy of halfway. They'll look to Goats to try and get him involved. He hasn't been involved much. Didn't have a single real touch of a ball in the first half. Now look to Butterfield, and Butterfield, he'll get a good kick away. This might be the 40-20 they were looking for. It's going to be very close. Maxwell, he keeps himself in field, but he might not have kept himself in field for too long. No, he will be brought down in the field of play before Russell can take him in a touch. Good work there to make sure that they don't cough the ball up early on in the set and give the Gold Coast plenty of great field position. Here goes Guys now up the middle, trying to force his way through, and he gets tackled just shy of a 40. They won't look for a kicking option here, but if they don't get much, they might look for it next set. Next play, rather, and it seems like that's going to be the case here as Kelly's brought down just inside the 40, in between those red baskets. They'll look for Bakers. Bakers with the inside ball. Ryan came up, and it might be perfectly weighted. It's going to be too difficult for Ryan to keep in field, and that will mean an essential 40-20, and the Storm are gifted one.
Oh, Ryan, mate. Absolutely unfortunate position. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't. But, geez, you'd be thinking if he could take that one back, he would.
Yeah, I mean, we saw how careful Maxwell was about it, but I think Ryan felt some phantom pressure, thinking, oh, they're probably right behind me, aren't they, given how good the kick chase has been on that right edge. But on that occasion, it means that he just forced to take it in a touch. Either way, it would have resulted in the Storm getting an opportunity, either play the ball or tap kick. It could have been either one. Here goes Will Kane now, but there's two of the tackle. I'll just select to take it where he stood. 4 now, infield for Bakers. Bakers forced back by Ryan before he could try to put a ball down. Many on many crime there. 4 now for K. K across for Guys. Guys now is right in the end goal, but he's not going to have a chance to put it down. With 2 around him, they will just check to be 100% sure, but the no try signal to start. And yep, on his back there, thanks to Ryan. And Buckley with the upturn. Make sure there is nothing going on there. Now the last. What do they elect for on this last play? It's going to be a Will K bomb. And there's a lot of air underneath it. Was Goats in field? No, he was not. He was in goal. That means a huge 7 tackle set here for the Gold Coast. Right near the tick of the hour. There's going to be an essential opportunity for them to try and gain some clear territory, to try and gain the upper hand here in this last 20 minutes.
I'm not sure about that one. It looked like he leapt from infield of play, but again, the referee calls it as he sees it, and you've just got to play the ball.
I think it was 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and I'm pretty sure if they give a 1 foot in the end goal, it is ruled as a mark, so well taken on that occasion. Now Dolan over to Ryan. Ryan nearly able to force his way through, but it's a one-on-one tackle by Fawn instead. Weston will fling it out to Dolan. And now for St. Hendricks. Hendricks with a step, and he goes right at the Tara Maxwell. Probably could have looked for the corner instead, but just had eyes to try and make it perhaps 20 instead of looking at just 18. McLucky with a kick that has gone absolutely nowhere, and now equipped with it is going to have a run himself. He ended up being met in a tackle, and it's a good one there. Could have quite spotted it. It is Butterfield, I believe. Yes, it was. I ended up laying that hit, and now Kane Nielsen will try and borrow them further upfield. 4 now for Bakers. Inside there for Maxwell. Maxwell tries to get through the tackle of Holmes to no avail, but has given them strong field position on this occasion. Here's Remy now for Spencer, and Spencer right through. Spencer will look to try to attack Ryan, and he goes inside for Fawn. Oh, selfless play there to get Fawn under the post, and this will surely be a lead reduced to 8.
Oh, if you had told us this at halftime, that the Storm would come back like this, I think you would have looked at you like you were crazy. But we've got a game on our hands here, Ollie.
And, I mean, it was an incredibly risky pass. I think might have been Mark Lee that is trying to take out Fawn before he can get there. But I think it would have been a penalty and perhaps even a send bin on a professional foul. Maybe we even see a penalty try, who's to say. But I think the way that's gone, you have to say, Storm are looking to be within this fight. They want to make sure this home crowd stays in this match as TBK coolly slots his third kick of the night. A huge opportunity for him as well. Try and get something out of this set. Just pin the Titans deep if you must. I mean, we saw the 40-20 with an asterisk, essentially, has helped them produce points, or at least give them a strong territory. What you need more of, you need to get those kicker game working. We'll see if TBK and Bakers do the same in this one, as Bakers will field this kick and he'll look for Spencer to take the early run. Of course, it's going to be Spencer. I believe it would be Remy as into those prop positions. No, it might be Logan Guy, excuse me, but either way, trying to look for something out of these forwards, but again, Christian McKay has been dominant in these tackles. Now out for TBK with Maxwell. Maxwell a stab. He might be too close to the line. He's way too close to the line. Is he out? He is. That's a great tackle there from Justin Dolan just to get the arm, I think, that grazed the chalk. See, he sheds Russell. He's trying to get through the tackle there. Yeah, no, the shoulder's well down on that occasion. Well spotted there by our touch judge on our near side. And a risky play to try and produce points has ended up not paying off for them. And now the Titans with a chance in Melbourne territory to launch another assault and get that try right back they had scored on them just a set ago. Here goes Lachlan Holmes now, again trying to get clear, but on that occasion, met by Jimmy and Remy. Weston, short ball here for McLucky. He'll go one more with Ryan, and he goes to the wing with Demando. Demando, don't let the saving happen again to you. Oh, it's happened again. The vengeance from equipped with it to force him over the line has gone to storm the ball right back.
And that's just been the story of this game. It seems like it's been going tit for tat lately, and oh man, you would be wanting that play back.
Yeah, I mean, you have a great opportunity. You just cut in field to at least get yourself a good attacking set, but not on that occasion. Now Wilmette will look to launch the Storm set on this occasion, but not getting much of that time. And neither was Remy, but Remy does draw a held and tackle penalty, the second that we've seen this game. That one might have just been what the Storm need to make this a one-score game. They'll probably get a set starting outside their own 40, which it is. Now Fawn will take the tap kick. Now Wilmette will run it up, and he'll get it just past halfway before his brought down there by Lee and Holmes. Bakers, the first receiver, will go to Remy. Just shy of a 40 before his brought down. They're just going to look to get these forwards rolling again. They haven't been doing too much. They feel like they've been the ones losing the battle. But if they can make up for it here in this last 15 minutes, it would be huge for the Melbourne Storm, especially to take a win, to take themselves a 2-1 with the bye already recorded. One with a short ball out for Bakers. Now for Maxwell. Maxwell, Kelly out of there, and Narnia. But he puts on a stab. He had plenty of time to get the engine running. But he ends up being brought down there by Ryan. Out 13 out from the line. Oh, look to Wilmette. Wilmette, oh, he's lost that one clearly. He couldn't get the boot to ball. And Holmes will just bring it past where he was tackling it. Will grant them the advantage. Meanwhile for Taupoke. Taupoke will be brought down there in a two-man tackle and another holding down penalty. That one felt a little bit egregious to me. I don't think they gave him much time, but perhaps it was just a second effort there from either of Remy or Fawn that the referee had spotted. As a result, now the Gold Coast get a set starting from just outside their own 40. Hey, where have I heard this? Feels weird. Lachlan Holmes will take the first run of this set this time. Now look to McLucky to swing it left again with St. Hendricks. He puts on a step to get by one, but is eventually going to be brought down there by equipped with it. I believe he's playing on that side. He goes Holmes now. Holmes right through a gap. Oh, he makes it miss. And Lachlan Holmes, rewarded for his efforts. He goes over and they get that try back.
Oh, Lockie Holmes, he's an absolute gun of a player he is. And just the speed alone there. But again, it's that middle defence of the Storm. We keep hitting this point home hard, but they need to start getting better defence.
I mean, better defense doesn't grow on trees here. I mean, I hope not at least. But either way, they've just... I believe you just have a call being received from the SRL Commissioner's office and they just respond with, to shreds, you say?
Well, that's certainly one way to describe this defence. It's like Swiss cheese tonight, but again, I have a feeling that Kay will be having some very strong words after this game is complete.
Yep. And the garbage cans of a locker room? To shreds, you say? TBK gets us back underway here in these last 10 minutes as Lee will take the hit up, and Remy's been quite unhappy with how this game has gone, it seems, laying another hefty shot. Here goes McKay now. He's not been involved too much with the ball, but when he's had the opportunity in defense, he's been very strong as here goes Holmes now. Trying to get through the tackle of Jimmy, and nearly does, and that looked like it more warranted a holding down penalty than the previous ones. Either way, we'll get a chance again to go down the left side with Demando. They try to force him in a touch there with Maxwell and Jimmy. They won't get it, though. They both try to go to first marker, so Maxwell can go back. He's not going to... We'll have a time to do that as Weston here will take the run on the last. It forces Ryan into acting half. He'll look to just distribute it to McLucky. McLucky will kick towards the corner there with Oldfield. He'll take it on his own 10 and get about 10 and a little bit more. I think Russell just like, help me, please, and eventually Goats takes the legs out. I'm sure he can't go too far as Nilsson there will take the run of a second. Try to inject himself well into this game, but it's just been McKay's been able to shut them down well, but Wilmette putting a hefty hit on, and Ryan just forces him right back in response. Some real heavy hitting going on in his last 10 minutes, even with the game seemingly out of reach here for Melbourne. They are not going to go down without a fight. They know how much point differential can matter in this as well. Bakers will swing it across here for Maxwell. Maxwell gets past one, gets by another, trying to get his way through to Mando, and eventually brought to ground just shy of a 20, but it opens up the options for them. They go to Ford to kick. Ford puts up a very high ball. Ryan, I think it's foot in, foot out. Oh no, that time they say in the field of play, so I think he must have dragged that second foot back of the field of play. He just tackled a couple out from his own line. Now they look to swing it for Demando, try to get the backs rolling. Let the speed do the work. Lucky will now swing it across here for Lee. Lee brought down here by a couple of defenders as well. It's Fawn and Spencer. He retreats back to the line. They'll look for Holmes again. Holmes trying to get his way past Bakers. Get some good meters one-on-one, but not going to get too far. McLucky thought about a kick. Instead just looks for Van Colostrum. Lets him take the run. They can still look for the 40-20, even with the wingers in retreat. Dolan will just look to get a simple territorial kick out there. And now Kelly with a step. He tries to get through Ryan. Eventually will be dragged down, but in Gold Coast territory once more. 5 minutes to go here as Maxwell tries to put in a step. He makes Holmes completely miss. Eventually brought down one-on-one by Lee. Form will look at the short side right here again with Bakers and now for Whiffett. Can Demando force him out in vengeance? Not this time. They will swing it across here for Jimmy. Jimmy takes a hefty charge at Holmes, but is not going to get too far out of that one. Remy in offload. Now for Bakers. Bakers will be brought down here by Van Colostrum. Just about 4 minutes left now for this last play. It won't take that long, but it's a quick rubber kick, and it's knocked down there by McClucky. That's surely a knock on. Did it come off toes?
The referee's saying it's come off the knee
I'm baffled.
there.
That's all I can think of. It's for 3.5 to play. The Storm will be able to force them back as or miscommunication on when they take up the play the ball. So he probably could have got free, just taken it out of mark of themselves, but just want to remain square perhaps. Don't want to fall into any ill discipline and give them any more opportunities. But here goes McKay. McKay had to bounce off it, not playing at defender that time. It ends up with Tau Pocket, but he's brought down there by TBK. Weston will look for Dolan. Dolan, I think, wanted a kick, but instead just fully saw a hole. Nearly tried to run himself through it, but eventually brought down just shy of halfway. And it does seem like they're putting it in neutral, essentially. McLucky, a low kick. Kelly, I think, was worried about, did I knock that one on? Nope. Okay, I'm all good to run it. being tackled just shy of halfway, but that hesitation. Well, it's not great from him as Maxwell now. I think we're just looking for one final gasp, perhaps, just to make it look competent. TBK didn't expect it, caught flat-footed, and will try and take one last run for himself. Will swing it for Nilsson. Nilsson trying to attack in field there, trying to get after McKay. Not going to get very far with that, though. The TBK, a nice little inside ball there for Wilmette. Wilmette trying to get past Ryan, and look who's there again. Christian McKay working so tirelessly in defense to stop them. Forward now for TBK. TBK the high ball. Who's underneath it? It's very tall McKay. It's a back for Maxwell. Maxwell steps McKay and goes over. It's a consolation effort, but an effort all the same. And it does give them a chance to perhaps swing what the margin of victory will be, but not much chance to swing the result.
30 seconds ago, look, at least I will say that Storm have not given up play. A lot of other teams with this kind of scoreline, they would have probably given up a couple of minutes ago. But, you know, the Storm, you can see that this still means something to them. Might be only an 8-point loss or a 10-point loss, but at the same time, you mentioned it, this can all lead towards a better points differential at the end of the season, and that's what matters right now.
Yep, and it will have to matter with his kick as well, and I'm pretty sure I just saw some 10-gallon hats being thrown there as a result of that kick being thrown, but of course that's why you don't make actual bets, kids. As the clock is showing 80 minutes, but I think they have called time off here, so they will give them last play. Time was meant to go off due to the game state, but like if I get one final run here, Melbourne, and I don't imagine they'll try anything too advanced here with the differential. Yep, it's better just takes a run, takes a hit, and that'll do it. Gold Coast Titans with back-to-back road wins, beating the Storm here 32 points to 24. And just a comprehensive performance all round, really. I mean, definitely some polish to work on, but given the result of the game, I don't think if you're on the Gold Coast, you'd be very unhappy with it.
No, that's it. The Titans, they'll be very happy for this one. Of course, the Melbourne Storm are an absolute powerhouse of a team. They're kind of the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles of the current era, but again, having a look at the stats there, 50-50 in possession, 7-8 in terms of errors. It looks like it just came down to a lot of the missed tackles through the middle there.
Yep, and not to mention as well the completion percentage. Of course, you get one more set and you complete two more. That can spell all the difference. You know, we saw those errors come to really bite Melbourne in some cases, and they bit Gold Coast as well, but I really feel like the bug was focused on the Storm in this one. Go over to look and see the great performances that got put up there. I mean, Tira Maxwell, it felt like he did everything he could, really. 275 meters, 30 tackles, none missed, 11 line breaks, scored that try at the very end. Essentially just a consolation, but you have to credit the effort, really, and as well, 161 meters off the bench. Oldfield got his chances with the runs as well. They had their opportunities, but you look at the missed tackles here. I mean, 3 missed tackles for Logan Guys, 2 for Hopsgood in his 18 minutes, 2 for Will Kay. I mean, let me just count that quickly. 12 players with a missed tackle, and most of the ones that didn't were a fullback, your number 12, 2 bench guys, and the number 3 that came on as a bench prop.
That's it. It's like we said, a lot of those missed tackles. Obviously, you can see the winger there, Kobe Kelly, was leading the missed tackle count for the Melbourne Storm. But again, it's the missed tackles up the middle that are going to kill you. And we can see exactly what you said. How many forwards in that pack for Melbourne had a missed tackle?
Exactly. And I mean, yeah, you think about how difficult it can be sometimes to lay those hits on, but just seemed like the Titans were better in that regard, even though the stats might not show it. That we see of 251 meters with a lock forward, Josh Butterfield, and only 65 minutes of action, and Liam Ryan as well with a decent matchup as well with 206. I mean, you see how also just how efficient the tackles seem to be. 25 tackles not missed for Ryan. And you look at the numbers here, you just think, well, sure, there might be 2 for Mark Lee, 2 for Bovenkel Ostrom, 1 for McKay, but the numbers just they look decent better. And I mean, Lachlan Holmes as well. Full credit to him. 13-155 and a try coming on. I mean, there would definitely be questions about whether he would be the one to really take on that number 11 role coming on for the captain, but I mean, he proved himself there and did a fantastic job out of that second row position.
Exactly right. And, you know, Lachlan Holmes, he reminds me a lot of what Cody Ogg did for us in the internationals there. A centre coming on at the second row position and just absolutely murdering them. But I also want to bring up, we've been talking about him all night, of course, but Josh Butterfield there with the 251 from the lock position. If you're asking me who gets the 3 points tonight, I would have to say Butters gets it.
Yeah, I mean, this feels almost like a free 2-1 for Gold Coast to give the swing of the game, because I mean, Christian McKay, great performance, Lachlan Holmes, great performance, Josh Butterfield, great performance, but I mean, it's hard to say how I would go on this one. Perhaps we'll just need to wait until the debrief for our official submissions, but either way, do have to think that the Titans came into this with a very comprehensive idea of how they wanted to perform and have come away with yet another victory. In Melbourne, well, they've come off the bye with back-to-back losses, and they'll need to look for a rebound very soon. For Jordan Lewis, our recorder Jack Carl, and for all of our SRL staff, and for you viewers watching at home, I've been Ollie Parcher, and we will see you next time. Good night.